30-minute reviews, beware of spoilers, and exploring hyperspace lanes are all available ad-free. But if you want to support the show, you can go to bewareofspoilers.com and click the support button that's available on the Spotify website. Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. On this, I don't want to say cold, because it's, February 1st, but it's a little cold, February 1st. Here today to talk about the finale of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, as this show comes in for a landing. And I don't think it's that bad. Like, I'm not saying the show is bad. I'm not saying there's anything about it that is inherently obtrusive or anything like that. I think that my criticism from last week is kind of highlighted here. Where the show doesn't give the characters or anything enough time to breathe, so moments don't quite land. Considering that, like, the resolution of the plot is kind of contingent on remembering this one guy from episode 2 that he was kind of friends with, and then being like, okay, so, he's the one who's gonna be the friend who will betray. And it's like, oh, well, that feels like an odd decision an odd way to put that. Because it's like, I get, like, having watched the entire season, like, I buy that, neither Grover or Annabeth would betray Percy. And the way I thought it was going to play out was going to be Annabeth was going to do something that was for the betterment of everyone, while instead of going along with Percy, who was, at the time that I was thinking this, would have been, Percy's going to act in the best interest of saving his mother. So, it's a weird situation. It's a weird situation. And I think that for it to come down to, we have this thing, and it's like, and it's this guy from camp who you were kind of friends with. Like, alright, like, I get it. But I have to remember this one guy, like, and then it feels like in the script they've realized that they had forgotten to account for this guy. Like, it feels like they realized, like, oh shit, we didn't thread this guy through enough to make him, something worth, a friend to Percy. Like, they could have had him check in more often with this kid and then had it be like, oh, well, okay, that's it. But the episode right before this, before they go into the underworld, like, that's the next time we see him, and it's like, and was that even a flashback? I don't remember. But either way, it's like, this feels like key information was being, like, this feels like an issue with not having enough time to let the characters breathe. I feel like an extra episode or two just to kind of stretch out the events and not have it be event would have made it go a little bit smoother. And then on top of it too, you don't even need to do another episode. I think had you just sat there and went, okay, we're going to, take time to let this, breathe in these episodes. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, why? Why couldn't we have these episodes be an hour long and then have that extra 20 minutes just to devote to letting the relationship between Percy and Annabeth and Grover kind of flesh out a little bit better, so that way it feels like they become friends. And it's like, by the time you get to the end, and it's like you get the reunion of them after Percy goes to Olympus and all of that, like, when you get to that point and you get the moment of Annabeth and him hugging in the reunion, it's like, this feels less like a thing caused by, what's it called? Like, friends and it's good to see you're alive. It feels more like a trauma bond, and it's like, yeah, we went through some shit, and it's good to see that you also made it out of the shit. Like, it would have been a little bit more interesting in that regard. But whatever, it is what it is. Wow, that's a maneuver. And this asshole, like, whatever. But what else we got? It's cool to see Lance Reddick, and have him play Zeus. They're gonna have to recast, unfortunately, because he did pass. And that was such great casting. For what Zeus is in this, it was great casting. What else was there? I feel like the finale of this, and I would assume the book does this to an extent, but not quite as, as deeply as this one does. I would assume that what happens here, like, a lot of what happened here in terms of the whole, setting up where we go next, I feel like a lot of that ends up coming, I would assume the book does it less, because I don't know if how deeply, like, was this planned as a series, or was this planned as a standalone book? I would assume the series that had a subtitle out of the gate. If you do Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, I would assume that means that you're going to make a Percy Jackson and the Olympians too. But the thing is, by the time you get to the end, it just feels kind of like loading up what's coming next. Okay, so we have so Kronos is still in play, and Kronos is majorly in play because he is going to return, and that's going to be a problem. But at the same time, it's like, I don't leave this season feeling like Percy has developed any skills to take down Kronos. Like, he has that giant CGI wave that just kind of looks ridiculous when he's fighting, Ares. But I don't feel like he's just, like, at this point, he hasn't learned anything to deal with Kronos. All he knows is Kronos is coming back. So does that mean that, like, the next one is Sea of Monsters, I think it's called. So is that one going to be him going and trying to learn more skills so he can do more to stop the impending arrival of Kronos? Is that where we're going with this? I mean, I don't know. I haven't read the book. And I probably won't between now and when the next season comes out, if I'm being completely honest. Because I got other shit to do. And reading a mid-grade book from 15 years ago is not pretty high on that list. I just hope that next season we get that as kind of a motif of the season. Like, I don't want to see next season be another massive quest to be like, okay, so, the entire season is him going on this mission to do something to save someone or something along those lines. We got that. Like, and we know that's going to happen again between now and the end of when the show ends. I know there are a lot of books in the Percy Jackson series. But I want to see him, like, take time to, learn something. Like, when he's in Camp Half-Blood early in the season, it's like, okay, this is his entry point into the world as he's learning who he is. I want to see him develop skills and develop as a a hero, as a warrior. Like, that's the thing. Like, I hate using Harry Potter as a comparison, but they're kind of similar. They're fantasy. They're mid-grade. They were phenomenons in their time, and you have these protagonists who are kind of similar, and you have them going on these world-saving things as children. And one of the things that Harry Potter did was, Harry was a flawed protagonist. Harry as a protagonist was not very good, and he needed to be carried a lot of the time by other people around him, which was his strength. It's like, look, I can't do what Hermione can do. I can't do what other people can, but I know to use them to help me if I need to do something. If I need to, like if I need someone to go and what's it called, and take time to like go and like if I need someone to be able to teach me how to do something, I have someone who can teach me how to do it. The issue is you don't really, I don't get that sense. Like, I get the sense that Annabeth is substantially smarter than Percy Jackson is, but I don't get the sense that, like, it's something where it's like, this character is designed to be flawed, in the same way that Harry is designed to be flawed. And maybe he is in the book, and they're just, changing that for the show, where he is a little bit more, helpful. And we're getting to something that we're going to talk about on 30-minute reviews this week, with the change to Sokka, where it's like, so we're taking away the character flaws, so they're just perfect people. Like, there's a problem with that, and we're going to talk about that more in depth. I'm not just advocating for more sexism. We're going to get into it more in depth. Don't worry. Over on 30-minute reviews on Monday, but I don't understand why are we not watching Percy evolve as a character? Like, he fights the Minotaur, he beats the Minotaur, okay. We don't see him do much else in terms of fighting. Like, yeah, he beats he beats Medusa. Yeah, he stops the Echidna. But at the same time, it's like, we don't see him figure it out. It's kind of just like, okay, spur of the moment, alright, sure dumb luck, okay. Character's dead, we did it, huzzah, moving on. And the issue with that is, it's like, well, hopefully Kronos isn't someone who you can take out that easily if you're going to build him up to be the big bad of the show. So you'd want to see him learn anything about how he's going to, take on this bad guy. Learn something about how he intends to, to save everyone. And not just be like, well, let's just kind of wing it and hope for the best. Because that's what a lot of this season was. A lot of, well, let's wing it and hope for the best, and it worked out. And that's not a great way to run a plan if you're trying to stop all of creation from being destroyed by the father of the gods. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's just a little weird. But we'll wrap up there for today. Tonight, we find out who the real Agent Argyle is. Although I had it spoiled for me because I found out that Deadline reported on that because I don't think it was meant to be a twist. Yeah, so we'll be talking about that tonight on Beware of Spoilers. This weekend we will be recording the new episode of 30-minute reviews for Monday. Don't worry, we missed last week, but we will not be doing that again for the foreseeable future. Then we also have what else have we got? We've got I forgot. I feel like there's more coming up. Over on the backlog files, we have what's it called? We have. Did we do Pokemon Pinball yet? Did I record an episode of Pokemon Pinball? I think I did. No, I think Pokemon Pinball is the next one I have to record. I just recorded Stadium and there's another one, and Trading Card Game. Trading Card Game just went up. Stadium goes up next week. But yeah, so we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your